You are on HOA busted. The tow hook was inches away. I am standing next to my car in the Stonehaven HOA Incorporated parking lot in Arlington, Texas, at 6:15 in the morning, and Nancy Ramirez is screaming at me like I just committed a felony. You are going to pay the fee and then appeal. Her voice bounces off the gated row of townhomes behind us, and I can see curtains twitching in the windows. Nancy is the gate access administrator, which means she controls who gets in, who gets towed, and who gets harassed in group emails that read like public shaming posters. She is wearing a white cardigan with the hood up even though it is barely damp outside, her gray hair pulled back in a sleek low ponytail, and she is holding a tow truck remote control in her right hand, waving it at me like it is a badge. I work as a union electrician apprentice, and my job site start time is 7 sharp. I do not have time for this. Nancy takes 2 steps closer and jabs the remote toward my front bumper. Your car is parked reversin'. That is prohibited under Section 4-12 of the Parking Addendum. I am calling the tow truck right now. I glance at my car. It is a 4-door sedan, parked nose-in, facing the row of garages. I look back at her. Nancy, my car is not reversin'. The nose is pointing forward. She narrows her eyes and lifts the remote higher, thumb hovering over a button. Do not play games with me. I see the direction. I have the authority to tow on site. Her voice is flat and mechanical, like she has rehearsed this exact speech 100 times. I take a breath and pull my phone out of my pocket. I am going to document this. Nancy smiles. Keep talking, I love adding notes. She pulls a handheld scanner from her cardigan pocket and aims it at my license plate, scanning the barcode sticker in the corner. The scanner beeps twice, and she taps the screen with her index finger. You have been flagged for overnight parking. Chalk marks on your tire prove it. I step around the front of my car and crouch down to look at the front passenger tire. There is a faint orange line at the base of the tread, barely visible in the early light. I stand up and face her. That is not proof of overnight parking. That is proof someone drew on my tire. Nancy taps the scanner screen again, not looking at me. The system logged your vehicle at 2300 hours last night and again at 0600 this morning. That is a clear violation. I am adding a $75 fine to your account, and the tow truck will arrive in 8 minutes. I pull my phone up and start recording. Nancy, I parked here at 5:30 this morning when I got home from a night shift. I have dash cam footage that shows the timestamp. She does not even blink. You are not the first person I have corrected, and you will not be the last. She turns and walks toward the gatehouse lane, remote still in her hand. The tow truck is on its way. If you want to dispute the fine, you can file an appeal after you pay the fee. I follow her, keys jingling on the carabiner clipped to my belt loop. Nancy, this is selective enforcement. Half the cars in this lot are parked the same way, and you are only targeting me. She stops at the edge of the lane and turns around. The other vehicles are registered guests with valid decals. Yours is not. I point at my windshield. I have a resident decal right there. She glances at it, shrugs, and starts walking again. The decal system was updated last month. Your old decal is no longer valid. You should have received an email. A flatbed tow truck with flashing amber lights rolls into the gatehouse lane, blocking 2 other cars trying to exit. The driver leans out the window and waves at Nancy. She waves back with the remote, then points at my car. I sprint back to the sedan and stand in front of the bumper, arms spread. The driver cuts the engine and climbs out, a thick man in a reflective vest with a clipboard tucked under one arm. Nancy walks up beside him and hands him a printed slip. He glances at it, nods, and walks toward the rear of my car, pulling a wheel lift control lever from a bracket on the truck bed. I shout toward him, "Stop! This is a mistake. There is no violation here." He does not look up, just crouches and hooks the lift arms under the rear axle. Nancy stands behind him with her arms crossed. Scanner in one hand, remote in the other. The homeowner has been notified. The fee is $75 plus the tow yard release fee of $220. You can collect your vehicle after 4 p.m. today. I pull out my phone again and call the only person I know who has dealt with Stonehaven HOA Incorporated before. His name is Marcus, and he is a contractor who does HVAC installs in the neighborhood. He has photos and timestamps from the day Nancy interfered with one of his service calls last summer. The phone rings twice, then Marcus picks up. Yeah. I talk fast. Marcus, it is me. Nancy is towing my car right now for reverse-in parking, except my car is not reverse-in. She is using a fake chalk mark and a fake overnight log. Can you get over here? He exhales into the phone. I am 15 minutes out. Stall her. I hang up and walk toward the tow truck driver. Sir, I need you to stop. This is a fraudulent tow order. The HOA administrator is misquoting the parking rules. The driver stands up and wipes his hands on his vest. I do not get involved in HOA disputes. I have a signed authorization slip. If you want to fight it, take it up with the association. Nancy steps forward and taps her scanner screen. The authorization is valid. The homeowner is in violation. The driver nods and pulls the lift lever again. The rear wheels of my sedan rise 6 inches off the pavement. If you are enjoying this chaos, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA revenge stories where the paper trail wins. I step around the side of the truck and take a photo of the authorization slip clipped to the driver's clipboard. Nancy sees me and walks over, reaching for the clipboard. That is private property. You are not allowed to photograph HOA documents. I ignore her and zoom in on the slip. The violation code listed is 4-12, which Nancy claimed prohibits reverse-in parking. I pull up the Stonehaven HOA Covenant PDF on my phone and search for Section 4-12. It takes 10 seconds to load, and when it does, I read the text out loud. Section 4-12. Guest vehicles must display a valid guest pass on the dashboard and may not remain in the guest lot for more than 48 consecutive hours. I look up at Nancy. This is the guest parking rule. It has nothing to do with reverse-in parking. Nancy crosses her arms tighter and lifts her chin. The rule was amended last quarter. You were not paying attention during the annual meeting. I scroll through the rest of Section 4. There is no mention of reverse-in parking anywhere. I hold the phone toward the tow truck driver. Sir, the violation code on your authorization slip does not match the actual covenant. This tow is not legitimate. The driver glances at the phone, then at Nancy, then shrugs. Lady, if the code is wrong, you need to fix it with the HOA. I am not a lawyer. Nancy steps between us and taps the authorization slip with her index finger. The code is correct. The homeowner is misinterpreting the language. Driver, proceed with the tow. He walks back to the lift controls and presses a button. The front of my car tilts forward as the rear wheels rise another foot. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest. I have to be at the job site in 35 minutes, and if I am late, I lose a full day's pay and get written up by the foreman. I shout toward Nancy, if you tow this car, I am filing a complaint with the management company and copying the entire board. She smiles. Keep talking, I love adding notes. The tow truck driver climbs into the cab and starts the engine. The amber lights flash brighter, and the backup alarm starts beeping again. A car horn blares from the gatehouse lane. One of the drivers stuck behind the tow truck leans out his window and shouts, "Can you move this thing? Some of us have jobs." Nancy turns and waves the remote at him like she is directing traffic. The tow is in progress. You will have to wait. The driver throws his hands up and honks again. Another car behind him joins in, and suddenly the entire lane is filled with overlapping horn blasts. Nancy's face flushes red, and she marches toward the first car, scanner raised. "You are creating a disturbance." I will add a noise violation to your account if you do not stop immediately." The driver rolls up his window and keeps honking. The second car flashes its high beams. Nancy spins around and walks back toward me, breathing hard. "This is your fault. You are causing a disruption." I see Marcus's white van turn into the gatehouse lane from the main road. He rolls down his window and shouts over the horn noise, "Nancy, what are you doing?" She ignores him and taps her scanner screen. Marcus parks the van diagonally behind the tow truck, blocking it from pulling forward. He climbs out with his phone in his hand and walks toward me. "I got your text." "What is going on?" I point at my car. Nancy is towing me for reverse-in parking, except the car is not reverse-in and the violation code she used does not match the covenant. Marcus nods and pulls up a photo on his phone. "I have the same thing from last summer. She tried to tow my work van for blocking a fire lane, but the van was parked in a loading zone with a valid permit." He turns the phone toward Nancy. "You never responded to my complaint." Nancy glances at the photo, then at Marcus, then back at her scanner. "That case was resolved internally. You were issued a written warning." Marcus laughs. "A written warning for parking in a loading zone with a permit. That is selective enforcement, Nancy." The tow truck driver climbs out of the cab again and walks toward Marcus. "Sir, you are blocking my exit. I need you to move the van." Marcus crosses his arms. "Not until Nancy cancels this tow." The driver looks at Nancy. She shakes her head. "The tow is authorized. Proceed." The driver throws his hands up. "I cannot proceed if I am blocked." Nancy pulls the remote up and presses a button. Nothing happens. She presses it again, harder, and the remote slips out of her hand, skittering across the pavement and stopping at the edge of a storm drain. I watch it slide, and for a split second I think it is going to fall through the grate. Nancy lunges forward and grabs it, brushing off the screen with her palm. Her face is bright red now, and her hands are shaking. She stands up and points the remote at the driver. "Lower the vehicle." I am canceling the tow. The driver stares at her. "You just said proceed." Nancy's voice cracks. "I said lower it." "Now." The driver mutters something under his breath and walks back to the lift controls. The hydraulic hiss starts again, and my car's rear wheels slowly descend back to the pavement. Nancy turns and walks toward the gatehouse without looking at anyone. Marcus watches her go, then turns to me. "You need to file a formal complaint with the board. I already have a draft ready from my case last year. I can forward it to you." I nod. "Thanks." I also need to get copies of the parking covenant, the guest pass policy, and any amendments from the last 12 months. Marcus pulls a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "I printed this last week when Nancy tried to fine me for parking my van overnight. It is the actual covenant section that covers parking. Section 4-12 is guest parking only. Reverse-in parking is not mentioned anywhere." I take the paper and scan it with my phone camera. This is exactly what I need. The tow truck driver climbs back into the cab and starts backing up slowly, maneuvering around Marcus's van. Nancy is still walking toward the gatehouse, scanner clutched in one hand, remote in the other. I can see her shoulders hunched forward, and she is moving faster than before, like she is trying to get away before anyone else can corner her. Marcus taps my shoulder. "Check your mailbox later today. I bet she is going to send you a violation notice anyway, just to cover herself." I unlock my car and climb into the driver's seat. The clock on the dash reads 6:42. I have 18 minutes to get to the job site. I start the engine and pull out of the parking space, driving slowly past the row of townhomes. As I pass the gatehouse, I see Nancy standing inside the small office, talking on a desk phone with her back to the window. I take one more photo and keep driving. By the time I get to the job site, I am 12 minutes late. The foreman gives me a look but does not write me up. I spend the rest of the day running conduit in a half-finished office building, and every time I check my phone during break, I expect to see an email from Stonehaven HOA Incorporated. Nothing comes through until 4:30, right as I am packing up my tools. The subject line reads, "Violation Notice. Final Warning." I open it, and the first thing I see is a photo of my car attached to the email. The photo is cropped tight on the rear bumper, and there is a faint orange chalk mark visible on the tire. The email body is 3 paragraphs of dense legal language, but the summary is clear. I am being fined $75 for overnight parking in a guest space, and if I do not pay within 7 days, the fine will increase to $150, plus a lien will be filed against my property. I screenshot the email and forward it to Marcus. He replies 6 minutes later with a phone number and a name: Kevin Ortiz, the board president. Marcus's message says Kevin has been trying to rein in Nancy for months, but she keeps escalating because the management company contract expired in March and was never renewed. That means Nancy is acting without oversight, and the board does not have the authority to stop her unless they vote to terminate her position. I stare at the email again and notice something strange. The timestamp on the attached photo reads 05:45, but I did not arrive at the parking lot until 5:30. I pull up my dashcam footage and scrub through the timeline. At 5:45, my car is still on the main road, 3 blocks away from the gatehouse. The photo Nancy attached is fake, or it is from a different day. I call Marcus and tell him about the timestamp mismatch. He is quiet for a few seconds, then he says, "That is falsified evidence. If she is editing photos and changing timestamps, that is fraud. You need to document everything and bring it to Kevin before Nancy tries to escalate this further." I agree and hang up. I spend the next hour pulling every piece of evidence I have: the dashcam footage, the Covenant PDF, the photos I took this morning, the email screenshot, and Marcus's printed parking section. I organize it all into a folder on my phone and draft an email to Kevin Ortiz. The subject line is, "Formal complaint against gate administrator Nancy Ramirez, falsified violation evidence." I attach the folder and hit send. Kevin replies at 7:15 that night. His email is short: "I received your complaint. I am reviewing the attached evidence and will schedule an emergency board meeting for this Thursday at 6 p.m. Please plan to attend. Nancy will also be present." I read the email twice, then forward it to Marcus. He replies with a thumbs-up emoji and one sentence: "Bring printed copies of everything. Do not rely on the projector." Thursday is 3 days away. I spend those 3 days checking the Stonehaven HOA portal every few hours, looking for updates. On Tuesday morning, I log in and see a new entry under my account: "Violation, unauthorized parking status, under review." The entry is time-stamped Monday at 11 p.m., which is after I sent my complaint to Kevin. I click on the entry and see a note attached: "Homeowner disputed the original violation. Gate administrator provided additional evidence. Case remains open pending board review." I scroll down and see a second attached photo. This one shows my car parked in the same spot, but the angle is different, and the timestamp reads 0600. I compare it to my dashcam footage again. At 6 a.m., I was inside my townhome, making coffee. The car was parked, but no one was near it. I zoom in on the photo and notice something in the background, a reflection in the rear window. It is faint, but I can make out the shape of a person holding a phone or a camera. I screenshot the reflection and send it to Marcus with a message: "Nancy is taking photos of my car when I am not around. This is harassment." Marcus replies immediately: "Save that screenshot. That is evidence of stalking. Bring it to the meeting." Wednesday morning, I wake up to another email from Stonehaven HOA Incorporated. This one is from Nancy directly, not from the general admin account. The subject line is, "Parking Compliance Reminder." The email body is a single sentence: "Residents are reminded that all vehicles must display current decals. and must not occupy guest spaces for any reason. Failure to comply will result in immediate towing. I delete the email and check the HOA portal again. There is a new entry under my account, violation expired decal status, active. The timestamp is 6:30 a.m., which is exactly when I left for work. I pull up the portal history and notice something strange. The entry was created at 6:30, but it was edited at 6:45. I click on the edit history and see a note. Original entry adjusted to reflect correct violation code. Updated by gate administrator. I screenshot the edit history and add it to my evidence folder. Nancy is not just falsifying photos now. She is editing portal entries after the fact to change the violation codes and cover her tracks. I send the screenshot to Kevin with a message, Nancy is altering portal records. This is beyond selective enforcement. This is fraud. Kevin replies 30 minutes later, I see it. I am adding this to the board meeting agenda. Please bring all original evidence Thursday. Do not email anything else until after the meeting. I spend the rest of Wednesday organizing my evidence into a binder with printed photos, timestamped dashcam screenshots, and highlighted covenant sections. Marcus stops by that evening with his own binder. He has photos from last summer, emails from Nancy, and a printed copy of the expired management company contract. We sit at my kitchen table and go through everything twice, making sure the timeline is clear and the evidence is airtight. Thursday arrives, and I leave work early to get to the board meeting on time. The meeting is held in the Stonehaven Community Center, a small one-story building near the main gate. I arrive at 5:50 and see Marcus's van already parked outside. I walk in and see a folding table set up at the front of the room with 5 chairs behind it. Kevin Ortiz is sitting in the center chair, a thin man in his 50s with wire-rimmed glasses and a gray blazer. 2 other board members sit on either side of him, both older women I recognize from neighborhood group emails. Nancy is sitting in the front row of the audience section, scanner in her lap, remote clipped to her belt. She sees me walk in and does not look away. Her expression is blank, like she is daring me to speak first. Kevin taps a gavel on the table and calls the meeting to order. He reads through the agenda quickly, covering budget updates and landscaping contracts, then stops at the last item, complaint against gate administrator. He looks at me and gestures toward the front. Please state your complaint for the record. I walk to the front of the room and open my binder. I filed a formal complaint against Nancy Ramirez on Monday evening. The complaint includes evidence of falsified violation notices, altered portal timestamps, and fabricated photos. Nancy attempted to tow my vehicle on Monday morning using a violation code that does not match the parking covenant, and when I disputed the tow, she edited the portal entry to change the violation code and cover her tracks. Kevin nods. Do you have evidence to support these claims? I hand him the binder. Everything is in here. Dashcam footage, timestamped screenshots, covenant sections, and portal edit history. Kevin flips through the binder slowly, pausing on the screenshot of the portal edit history. He looks up at Nancy. Miss Ramirez, did you alter this portal entry after the homeowner filed his complaint? Nancy stands up and crosses her arms. I updated the entry to reflect the correct violation code. The original entry was a clerical error. Kevin raises an eyebrow. A clerical error that happened to change the violation code from guest parking to expired decal after the homeowner proved the guest parking code was incorrect? Nancy does not respond. Kevin flips to the next page in the binder and holds up the screenshot of the photo reflection. He looks at Nancy again. Did you take this photo of the homeowner's vehicle without his knowledge? Nancy shifts her weight. I was conducting a routine compliance check. It is part of my job. Kevin sets the binder down. Miss Ramirez, taking photos of residents' vehicles when they are not present is not part of your job description. It is harassment. Nancy's face flushes red, and she picks up her scanner. I am enforcing the rules. The The homeowner is in violation, and I have the authority to document it. Kevin leans back in his chair. Ms. Ramirez, the violation code you used does not exist in the current covenant. Section 4-12 is guest parking, not reverse-in parking. You misquoted the rule, and when the homeowner disputed it, you altered the portal entry to cover your mistake. That is not enforcement. That is fraud. Nancy opens her mouth to respond, but Marcus stands up from the back row and raises his hand. Kevin nods at him. Yes, Mr. Torres? Marcus walks to the front and hands Kevin a second binder. I have additional evidence. Last summer, Nancy attempted to tow my work van using the same tactics. Falsified photos, incorrect violation codes, and altered portal entries. I filed a complaint at the time, but it was never resolved because the management company contract expired, and Nancy continued acting without oversight. Kevin flips through Marcus's binder and stops on a printed email. He reads it silently, then looks at Nancy. Ms. Ramirez, this email shows you issued a written warning to Mr. Torres for parking in a loading zone with a valid permit. That is the definition of selective enforcement. Nancy grips the scanner tighter. The permit was expired. Kevin holds up the email. The permit expiration date is clearly visible in the attached photo. It was valid for another 6 months. Nancy, you fabricated a violation to justify a tow, and when Mr. Torres disputed it, you issued a written warning to intimidate him. Nancy's voice rises. I am doing my job. If homeowners do not like the rules, they can move somewhere else. Kevin sets the binder down and looks at the 2 board members on either side of him. They both nod. Kevin taps the gavel again. Miss Ramirez, effective immediately, you are suspended from your position as gate administrator pending a full investigation. All pending violations you issued are under review, and any towing authorizations you signed are void until further notice. Nancy slams the scanner on the table. You cannot do this. I have authority under the gate access policy. Kevin picks up the scanner and sets it aside. The gate access policy was part of the management company contract which expired in March. You have been operating without a valid contract for 8 months. Nancy stares at him, breathing hard. That is not my fault. The board was supposed to renew the contract. Kevin nods. You are correct. The board failed to renew the contract, which means you have no legal authority to issue violations, authorize tows, or access the portal. Every action you have taken since March is void. Nancy grabs the remote from her belt and holds it up. I have this. I can still authorize tows. Kevin stands up. Miss Ramirez, if you attempt to authorize a tow without board approval, I will file a police report for theft of services. Please return the remote and the scanner to the board immediately. Nancy looks at the remote, then at Kevin, then at me. Her hands are shaking, and her face is still flushed. She sets the remote on the table, then the scanner, then turns and walks out of the room without another word. The door slams behind her, and the room is silent for a few seconds. Kevin sits down and taps the gavel again. The board will conduct a full audit of all violations issued by Ms. Ramirez since March. Any homeowner who believes they were unfairly targeted should submit a formal complaint by the end of next week. This meeting is adjourned. The 2 board members stand up and start packing their folders. Marcus walks over to me and claps me on the shoulder. You did it. Nancy is done. I nod, but I am still holding my binder, and I can feel my hands shaking. It is not over yet. Friday morning, I check the HOA portal and see that my account has been cleared. All 3 violations Nancy issued are marked as void, and there is a note attached. Board review completed. No further action required. I screenshot the note and send it to Marcus. He replies with a message, check the neighborhood group email. You are going to love this. I open my email and see a message sent to the entire Stonehaven HOA mailing list. The subject line is, Emergency Policy Update, Towing Authorization. The email body is short, effective immediately. All towing authorizations must be approved by 2 board members and must include documented proof of the violation. Gate administrators no longer have unilateral authority to order tows. Any homeowner who believes they were unfairly towed may submit a refund request to the board. I forward the email to Marcus with a message. This is exactly what we needed. Marcus replies, "It gets better. Check the portal again." I refresh the portal and see a new announcement posted under the Community News section. The board has voted to terminate the gate access administrator position and outsource gate management to a third-party vendor. All previous violations issued by the former administrator are under review. I read the announcement twice, then closed the portal and leaned back in my chair. Nancy is gone. The policy has changed. The board is finally taking complaints seriously. It feels like a win, but I know there is still one more thing I need to do. Saturday afternoon, I drive to the shared mailbox cluster at the edge of the Stonehaven neighborhood. It is a small pavilion with 2 rows of locked mailboxes and a bulletin board covered in HOA notices. I park my car and walk toward the mailboxes, keys on the carabiner clinking against my belt loop. There are 3 other residents standing near the bulletin board, and I recognize one of them, a neighbor I have seen around the gatehouse lane, always with arms crossed and a smirk. She sees me and waves. "Hey, you are the guy who got Nancy suspended, right?" I nod. "That is me." She grins. "Good." She tried to fine me last month for parking my car in my own driveway, said it was blocking the sidewalk. I had to take photos and prove the sidewalk was 3 feet away. I laugh. That sounds like Nancy. The neighbor crosses her arms. I already submitted a complaint to the board. Half the neighborhood is doing the same thing. Nancy pissed off a lot of people. I walk to my mailbox and unlock it. Inside is a thick envelope from Stonehaven HOA Incorporated. I pull it out and tear it open. The first page is a letter from Kevin Ortiz, thanking me for my complaint and confirming that the board has adopted the emergency policy requiring 2 signatures for towing authorization. The second page is a refund check for $75, covering the fine Nancy tried to charge me on Monday. The third page is a copy of the document I have been holding on to since Tuesday, the expired management company contract. I stare at the document and smile, because it proved exactly what I suspected. Nancy had no authority to act on behalf of the HOA since March, and every violation she issued after that date is legally void. I fold the envelope and walk back to my car. The neighbor with the smirk is still standing near the bulletin board, and she calls out to me as I pass. "Hey, what did you get?" I hold up the envelope. Refund check and proof that Nancy was operating without a contract. The neighbor laughs. "That is perfect." I hope she gets sued. I climb into my car and start the engine. The clock on the dash reads 3:15. I have the rest of the weekend free, no job site pressure, no tow threats, no Nancy waving a remote control at me like it is authority. I pull out of the parking lot and drive toward the main gate. As I pass the gatehouse, I see a new sign posted on the window, "Gate access temporarily managed by board. For assistance, contact the community center." Sunday morning, I wake up to a notification from the Stonehaven HOA portal. I open it and see a new post under the Community News section, Board Meeting Minutes. November. I scroll through the minutes and stop at the last paragraph. The board has received 47 formal complaints regarding the former gate administrator's enforcement practices. All complaints are under review, and the board is working with legal counsel to determine next steps. Homeowners affected by selective enforcement are encouraged to attend the next board meeting on December 10th at 6 p.m. I screenshot the post and send it to Marcus. He replies with a message, "Nancy screwed up." 47 complaints is a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. I agree and close the portal. The HOA stops selective enforcement after complaints pile up, and Nancy is left holding the bag. Monday morning, I am back at the job site, running conduit and pulling wire. My phone buzzes during lunch break, and I check it to see a message from Kevin Ortiz. The message is short: the board met with legal counsel over the weekend. Nancy Ramirez has been formally terminated, and we are moving forward with a third-party audit of all violations issued since March. I wanted to thank you again for bringing this to our attention. Your evidence was critical. I reply with a quick thank you and close the message. The electrician working next to me looks over and grins. Good news? I nod. Yeah, the HOA finally did something right. He laughs. That is a first. By the end of the week, the neighborhood group email is flooded with messages from other homeowners sharing their own stories about Nancy. One resident says Nancy tried to fine him for leaving his trash can out 15 minutes past collection time. Another says Nancy issued a violation for holiday decorations in October, claiming they violated the seasonal display policy. A third says Nancy blocked his driveway with orange cones and refused to move them until he paid a $50 gate access fee. Every message ends the same way: I am filing a complaint with the board. The email thread grows to over 100 replies, and by Saturday morning Kevin posts another announcement on the portal. The board has extended the complaint deadline to December 15th due to overwhelming response. All complaints will be reviewed, and affected homeowners will receive refunds where applicable. I drive to the shared mailbox cluster again on Saturday afternoon to check for any new mail. The bulletin board is covered in printed copies of the board announcement, and there is a handwritten note pinned to the center: Nancy is gone. Time to fix this neighborhood. I pull out my phone and take a photo of the note. It feels like the right ending, but I know there is one more thing I need to do. I pull up my evidence folder and attach it to an email addressed to the entire Stonehaven HOA mailing list. The subject line is, How to File a Complaint Against Selective Enforcement. The email body is a step-by-step guide. Collect your evidence, screenshot the portal entries, print the covenant sections, and submit everything to the board in writing. I hit send and close my phone. Sunday morning, I check the portal one last time and see a new post under the community news section. The board has voted to adopt a permanent policy requiring documented proof and two-signature approval for all violations and towing authorizations. This policy is effective immediately and applies to all future enforcement actions. I read the post twice, then closed the portal and set my phone down. The policy is in place. The selective enforcement is over. Nancy is gone, and the neighborhood is finally moving forward. It is not a perfect ending, but it is a satisfying one. Monday morning, I am sitting in my car at the job site, drinking coffee and scrolling through my phone, when I see a new message from Marcus. The message is a screenshot of a group email sent by Nancy. The subject line is, Resignation Notice. The email body is one sentence: I am resigning from my position as gate administrator, effective immediately. I screenshot the email and forward it to Kevin with a message: Looks like Nancy finally admitted defeat. Kevin replies 10 minutes later: She had no choice. Legal counsel advised the board to pursue a civil claim if she did not resign. Her termination is official. I close the message and finish my coffee. Nancy is gone, the HOA policy is fixed, and the neighborhood is finally moving forward. It feels like the right ending. The next few weeks pass quietly. I check the portal every few days and see the complaint count climb to 63, then 72, then 84. Kevin posts regular updates, confirming that the board is processing refunds and reviewing every violation Nancy issued since March. By mid-December, the portal shows over 90 complaints filed, and Kevin posts a final announcement: the board has completed its audit. All violations issued by the former gate administrator have been voided, and refunds will be issued by the end of the month. The board thanks the community for your patience and cooperation during this process. I screenshot the announcement and send it to Marcus. He replies with a message: Nancy got embarrassed when her own quote plays on speaker. I laugh and close the message. Nancy is finished, and the neighborhood is finally moving forward. I drive to the shared mailbox cluster one last time on a cold Saturday morning in late December. The bulletin board is covered in holiday notices and community event flyers, and there is a new sign posted near the mailboxes: New Gate Management System starting January 1st. The sign explains that the third-party vendor will handle all gate access and enforcement, and homeowners will need to register their vehicles through the new portal. I read the sign twice, then walked to my mailbox and unlock it. Inside is a thick envelope from Stonehaven HOA Incorporated. I pull it out and tear it open. The first page is a final board update, confirming that all refunds have been processed and the new gate management system is ready to launch. The second page is a thank you letter from Kevin, acknowledging my complaint and the evidence I provided. The third page is a copy of a statute citation read into the minutes that shuts the threat down. I fold the envelope and walk back to my car. The neighborhood is quiet, and the parking lot is nearly empty. I can see the gatehouse in the distance and the new sign posted on the window: Gate access managed by third-party vendor. For assistance, visit the community center. I climb into my car and start the engine. The clock on the dash reads 9:45. I have the rest of the weekend free. No job site pressure, no tow threats, no Nancy waving a remote control at me like it is authority. I pull out of the parking lot and drive toward the main gate. As I pass the gatehouse, I see a heavy-duty gate chain loop hanging from a post, swaying slightly in the cold morning wind. It is a small detail, but it feels like the final piece of the story, the last reminder of everything that happened. Nancy is gone, the policy is fixed, and the neighborhood is finally moving forward. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support.